This is Mike Erps here, bringing you the first rendition of the new Cloud Education video blog that Daryl and I will be doing from here into the hopefully distant future. So just a quick overview of what Cloud Education is. It's really a place where we want to share information with you folks, our community, related to industry topics. Specific to the voice community and branching out from there, mainly around Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, etc. And we really hope that you see a lot of great value in this information as Daryl and I learn about that and share it with you folks out in our industry here. So a little bit about us, just real quick. I'm Mike Erps, UC Solutions Manager here at AudioCodes. My role is really specific to making sure we're aligned nicely with Microsoft and understanding sort of the direction and helping out to make sure AudioCodes is side by side in those endeavors. And also with me is Daryl Hunter. Daryl, you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, everybody. I'm Daryl Hunter. I am the phone guy in North America. I'm responsible for that last 3 feet when it comes to devices on desks, devices in rooms. I'm an extension of our R&D team out of Israel. We're doing a little bit of troubleshooting, a little bit of engagement. Sometimes when things don't always go as planned, we're all IT pros. We know how that goes. I also spend quite a bit of my time with partners and customers, some of that education and enabling to help make good, wise decisions when it comes to choosing a technology and also deploying that technology.
Awesome. Thanks, Daryl. So for today's episode, we're actually going to talk a bit about devices in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, and really specifically around the new concept of a native Teams device. A new term. Daryl loves to make up new terms, but this one is really going to hold true for the long run here, and something that we've seen a lot of traction around, and really shows the true Microsoft vision around not only where they're going with Teams, but also that sort of similar experience for the user across all different devices and platforms and such. So with that in mind, Daryl, can you help me and everyone here understand a bit more about what do we mean by native Teams devices?
Sure, absolutely. So before we go talk about native Teams, let's do this. Let's do a little bit of a fun Daryl and Mike survey. Devices and the way that we use our technology for the last, I don't know how many years we've been in IT, have been headsets, or mine looks a little different, right? I have this one sitting over here, depending on what testing I might be doing, or there's that set of devices back there because I do my own share of testing and early adoption. Devices have typically been that personal choice, right? Whatever feels the best, whatever you prefer. Absolutely. A mobile device is a great example. Yep. But there's always been that need in a business for the phone on the desk. It's always been there. It's ubiquitous. Everyone expects a phone on the desk. So in this new generation of technology, Microsoft's vision for that is to take Teams that we know and love, like you just said, on your mobile device, right? Take Teams that we know and love and smush it into a desk phone for that additional collaboration and communication. So by native Teams, I literally mean a phone on a desk or a phone in a room running the Teams experience on the screen.
So you mean I can also comment on team channels and chat and do all that type of stuff on my device now?
That's a really great question, isn't it? It depends on what device we're talking about.
Okay.
So as the native Teams phones come to fruition, they're going to make and receive phone calls and be able to handle meeting interactions at release, right? That's where they're going to come. But I think the idea of channels and chat and all that additional thing, not day one, but I think it'd be interesting to see kind of where that goes. but that's native teams. But I think when you just talk about native teams in a vacuum, it's hard sometimes to kind of picture that, because in the Microsoft 365 space, we've had Skype for Business the last number of years, right? And Link before that, and OCS before that, and so it seems like every iteration of these devices, of this technology, has had different devices on desks, right? So Microsoft's world has been resolved around this third-party phones for the last little while. 3-pip is kind of an internal Microsoft term describing those phones, right? So 3-pip phones, we have quite a number of them at AudioCodes. Polycom has quite a number of them. Yeelink has a wide variety of 3-pip phones. And what's good to know is that those are really a software spec. Microsoft provides this specification about making and receiving calls and what functions have to work, and then gives the freedom to the vendor to differentiate themselves by adding new and additional features to their phones. It's been really great for a many number of years. But some of the constraints on the vendors have been around, like the look and feel, right? As Link became Skype, the look and feel went from like a yellow to like a black to a blue to a gray. So now that UI is that Skype for Business look and feel, which is morphed into Teams, right? As it comes to native teams, the spec is different. It's really more of a hardware spec. We and other vendors have to develop their phones around a certain class of CPU and a certain class of guts that go inside the plastic shell. But the application's Teams. That means it's Microsoft providing the application. And so that makes a decision a little differently, because since the hardware spec has changed, you're not reusing devices. So now it's made businesses have to think through differently how to put devices on desk, how to pay for them, what's the strategy and the longevity of devices. In previous years, you might have gotten 8 to 10 or more years out of a device on a desk. How often do you swap out your plastic phone or your mobile phone?
Every couple of years.
Right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? And these are a bunch of questions I think are currently being answered and currently being considered now that Teams is the new strategy. And I think that's good, right? I think it's good for us to understand technology is changing.
Yeah, and I think that, I think from a community perspective, if you use one vendor's phone today and another vendor's tomorrow, you're really having to retrain those users on how to use those devices. And that's a good thing in the sense of there's different options and focuses on specific feature sets and functionalities. But at the same time, it's complex, because the same user may be very familiar with Skype for Business at one company, they move to another, and it's a foreign language for them at that point.
Yeah.
And I think what you're saying is, with native teams, that's going to be, I don't want to say constrained, but brought to a simpler methodology, if you will, same experience across all of those devices, whether it be your mobile device, your desk phone, your PC, so that when your users are, leveraging that particular type of device, they don't have to relearn how to use that device just because it's different. So I think it's very similar to our laptops and PCs, right? It's all Windows, maybe different operating systems, but regardless, you're pretty much using the same feature functionalities across the different platforms. It might just be a different shell. And then you have add-ons to that, right? So do we have the ability to add anything onto that, or is it just all going to be the same application running on every device that exists in Teams?
Yeah, you bring up a great point, and I'm glad you did. When these devices were first announced at Enterprise Connect in early 2018, the buzz was, wow, that's different, right? It was jarring. People weren't expecting that. And so after the big announcement on stage, it seemed like a whole flock of people ran to the Microsoft device bar or the various vendor bars to go look at the phones and play, show and tell and touch and feel. And what do these devices really do, and what do they look like? And I think people were surprised to see that they really were the same experience with just a different shell, as you said, right? The cool part on the manufacturer side, right? Speaking specifically from AudioCodes now, Microsoft's providing an ability to instead of differentiating ourselves via software like the old third-party phones, we now have a chance to differentiate ourselves at the operating system level. So the operating system level is underneath the phone, and then the team's application runs on top. And so now we can provide a different set of applications that would run side-by-side teams and interact. And that different set of applications could be unique to AudioCodes or unique to Yealink or unique to Polycom. So instead of being unique at the third-party level, we're now unique at the application level. And then the applications talk to each other, presumably through some set of APIs or some other methodology by which these applications can talk back and forth, similar to your phone, right? Because I use the health app, right? The health app keeps track of my steps. It keeps track of all those other things to keep me healthy as I work from home and work in technology, which is always a challenge, right? So you kind of think through what that might look like at a device level from third-party devices into a phone or maybe additional applications for some of those form and functions people want on their desks.
Yeah, so it's the underlying base is the same. It's the same way as your mobile device. You start off with, a clean slate of, let's say, an iPhone that has specific applications, and then you're able to add those apps on top based on what you need or what that particular vendor supports. That's pretty interesting. I think that's definitely a neat new concept that we may not be used to in the device world. I think we're all used to being different in a lot of ways, but this really helps to bring that all together. So I guess the question I have is, well, when do I get to see and feel one of these things? When can I get one?
So it depends on which one you want. If you want a sample, you just have to get over here and it's right back there. But I think what you mean is when can everybody else get one, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the general availability time frame is around Microsoft Ignite. Microsoft Ignite's always in the fall. This year it's, I think, the last week of September. So right around the Ignite time frame is when GA is expected. And in typical world, samples for customers and partners and people that want to try it ahead of time is usually a month or so ahead of that. So that's the best time frame to discuss right now around Ignite. Right. And so far, because these were just announced at Enterprise Connect, which was in March, that's about a 6-month window from announcement to delivery. And that's really about how long it takes for the market to understand something new is there and to start learning about it and get excited about it. And then they start asking for it, right? And so those conversations are happening now. We've had so much excitement around native teams and what that means, and lots of questions about differentiation. But since it's so early, some of those questions we haven't been able to answer yet, right? Because there's a few things that have kind of changed because Microsoft's providing the app and they're developing it, right? So I think that's going to be really good to see what GA looks like when GA happens, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more conversation around this at the Ignite show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting show. I think it's going to be really neat to see all these devices out and about, if you will, and out in the field and ready to roll. I'm sure we'll see a lot of enhancements even post-Ignite. As you said, things like APIs and add-on applications come to fruition, and those become GA as well. So I think a lot of great things to come around this particular topic, and I think, or I hope I should say that the information that we shared today, both Daryl and I, around this particular topic is helpful for you folks. And certainly something that is near and dear to both of us, specifically Daryl, aka the phone guy. So with that in mind, I think we'll conclude today's Cloud Education session with that. But do keep in mind that in the future we'll definitely be back on this particular topic as some new details come out. We want to make sure that you guys are fully aware of that and are able to leverage that technology. So with that, Daryl, I wanted to say thank you for your time today and the information that you shared.
Yep, happy to be here.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Looking forward to continuing this Cloud Education video blog. Next time we'll discuss another industry topic, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. See ya. Bye-bye.